Hello, I'm Mike, this is Will, we are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we're bringing you issue 68 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms magazine today. In this issue we've got another set of 5 Bladegheist Revenants for the Nighthaunt. And if you'd like to see them in action, you can skip straight to the battle report using the time code in the description or the chapter bars. But first up, we'll have a look through the issue contents first. First up, we have background on Stormcast Desolators. So this is another of the heavy cavalry Dracothian riders of the Stormcast Eternals. And these ones are armed with great thunder axes. And they are particularly adept at smashing through weakened foes and running down any who try to flee. Over on the next page, we see background on the thunder axes themselves. And then how various different storm hosts use the Desolators. And then more background on the Forces of Destruction. These are the Troggoths. They are particularly destructive beings, not terribly smart and capable of regenerating, and also known to smell extremely badly. And here we have some of the different types, and Molog the Mighty, a particularly famous example of a dank cold Troggoth. Molog is currently trapped in the Shadespire, and anyone who is unfortunate enough to meet him soon meets a particularly sticky end. And then the different types of Troggoths, we have the Fellwater Troggoths, who tend to dwell in water and have a particularly acidic vomit. The dank cold Troggoths, who are covered with magical fungi. And then the Rock Gut Troggoths, who have particularly sturdy hides. Then more history of the Great Parch during the Age of Chaos. This is actually about the many tribes falling to worship of Khorne, particularly the one led by Korgos Kull, which sort of actively fought against the inhabitants of Batar and Asperia, as well as the forces of the other Chaos gods. Korgos led his cannibalistic brethren to conquer the other tribes and much of the land of the Great Parch. And there it shows some of the various factions within of the various Khorne worshippers and their colour schemes. And it also mentions some of the forces of Nurgle invading parts of the land as well. And then the build guide for the Bladegheist Revenants. These are very similar to the other Bladegheist. In fact, they normally come in boxes of 10. This is actually the second half of that. Like the others, you have a choice of which head you want to go with each body. And like the other ones, you need to be careful with all the hanging chains. They're not as flimsy as some of the other Nighthaunt things, but always be careful you don't snap any off. And then the painting guide is much the same, just paint them the same way as the other Bladegheist really. And you can see the finished models there, and on the other page. So now I'll hand you over to Will, and he can tell you some new rules we'll be learning and get into the game for this issue.
So a couple of new rules before we get to our game. We have a new warscroll battalion for the Nighthaunt called the Shroud Guard. So this warscroll battalion consists of either a Knight of Shrouds or Reichen or the Grimhailer and 2 units of Bladegheist Revenants. And the benefit of this is that Bladegheist Revenant models within 12 inches of the Knight of Shrouds or Reichen from the same battalion ignore wounds and mortal wounds on a 5+. As usual, there's just a little bit of tutorial on the back there. Then we're on to the background for our game, so we've got a little bit of fiction here. Apparently the Nighthaunt have finished forging their weapons that they were trying to create, and these Soul Stealer swords have now been handed out to the Nighthaunt leaders. When these slay a Stormcast Eternal, they trap the soul within the blade, so that they cannot escape back to Aesir and be reforged. Then we have our strategic overview map, which also ties up a story thread from the past few issues. 6 Nighthaunt Guardian of Souls have summoned a gigantic purple son of Shyish, which has destroyed the Storm Vault where the curse of the Khorne demon originated that was causing everything to be overcome with rage. And the Stormcast Eternals have also conducted a ritual that cured any Stormcasts that were affected. And there's also a bit here about the Stormcast conducting an assassination mission against a Nighthaunt leader, which will form the background for today's game. As usual, we have the forces lists that we're able to choose from for the game, and a little bit more background explaining that the Stormcast have shifted their strategy towards trying to assassinate Nighthaunt leaders, knowing that they can't win a war of attrition, whereas although ending the curse has cost the Nighthaunt dearly, they have many more tricks, and they do have their weapons now that can imprison Stormcast souls. And then we have our battle plan, the March of Blades, where a force of Nighthaunt has been ambushed by the Stormcast Eternals trying to slay their commander. So we have our battlefield set up here. We've got the 4 battle mats arrayed like normal. The Nighthaunt territory is a 6-inch radius circle in the very centre of the map, whereas the Stormcast Eternals have 2 different territories to the southwest and northeast, 6 inches on, but only halfway across the board. This battle does take place in the Realm of Fire, so we'll be using those rules. We set up 4 terrain pieces of our choice as normal, and then we alternate setting up units one at a time, starting with the Stormcast Eternals. The game will be decided on victory points, and the victory conditions are slightly different for each side. The Stormcast Eternals get 3 victory points if they slay the Nighthaunt General, and 1 victory point for each Nighthaunt unit they destroy, whereas the Nighthaunt player scores 2 victory points for each Stormcast Eternals unit destroyed. And the armies, we have 2 choices from the hero list and 6 choices from the troops list from the lists over the page. And the game continues to the end of the 5th battle round as normal. So that's it for the battle plan. We'll show you our armies we've picked and then get straight into the game. So having a look at the Nighthaunt army that we'll be defending first.
Well, I have a Shroud Guard formation with the Knight of Shrouds, who's also going to be my general, and he'll have the Master of the Black Arts command trait and the Tombblade relic. And I also brought along a Spirit Torment, because he might be able to heal the Knight of Shrouds and keep him alive. Because I have a Warscroll battalion, I get an extra artifact of power, so I've given the Spirit Torment the Black Amulet as well. And then obviously, with the Shroud Guard formation, I've got 2 units of 5 Bladegheist Revenants, a unit of Marmorn Banshees, the ever-present unit of Hexwraiths and Spirit Hosts, and a unit of Dreaded Scythe Harridans as well.
Here's my Stormcast forces, which I'll portray trying to assassinate the Nighthaunt General. So we've got the Lord Arcanum on Celestial Dracoline as my general. He counts as 2 hero choices, and he will have the Phoenix Stone, which allows him to heal a wound in every hero phase, and the Tenacious command trait, which gives him an extra wound, so he's up to 8. We have 2 units of 5 Secretors, a unit of 5 Liberators, a unit of 4 Castigators, and 2 Evocators on Celestial Dracolines. Now we've set the whole battlefield up, and I can't really get it all in shot, so you've got a general view here. So first of all, we'll look at the Nighthaunt deployment in their 6-inch radius circle in the middle.
So I tried to put my more durable units nearest the Lord Arcanum, because the Stormcast go first, they're easily within charge range, so any Spirit Flasks won't be utterly devastating. And I did deploy the Shroud Guard all as a single choice, but unfortunately there are so few Stormcast units, I still finished deploying second, so if there is a tie on the roll-off, the Stormcast will win. And I've also tried to protect the Marmorn Banshees, because they're handy to have for unbinding.
So facing them from the closer side of the board, I have split my forces in 2. We've got a single unit of Secretors, a unit of Liberators, and the Lord Arcanum. And directly opposite them, pretty much, we've got the other unit of Secretors, the unit of Castigators, and the Evocators on Dracolines. And to one side of the Nighthaunt deployment, as you see it, we've got 2 pieces of terrain. We did roll for all of the terrain, giving them special effects in this game, and we've marked them with the markers. So the Vault here is Deadly, which does mortal wounds if you're near it. The Sigmar head is Mystical, which is the 6+ to ignore wounds if you're near it. The Sigmar statue next to the Nighthaunt is Inspiring, which is +1 bravery for nearby units. And finally, over in the corner, we have the Sigmarite Ruins, which are Arcane, which is +1 to unbinding and casting rolls for a nearby wizard. All of the terrain also has the Volcanic rule, because we're playing in the Realm of Fire.
So I won the previous game, so I get to roll for a triumph. And I got a 1, that's the one that lets you re-roll hits.
And then we're just rolling off to see who gets to choose in the battle round. Well, I've won with a 4, and I'll definitely go first. So we're on to Stormcast Eternals, turn 1. So in my hero phase, we're trying to do an Arcane Bolt with my Lord Arcanum to start with. Needing a 5, getting a 10, which is the big one.
Yeah.
Mortal wounds if it does not unbound.
I'm going to try and unbind it with the Marmorn Banshees, because if I do, they get an extra attack. So I get +1 to this, because there's 4 Banshees. I only get an 8, so that is successful.
The Knight of Shrouds is just over 18 inches away, so he escapes, so we'll just do d6 mortal wounds to the Hexwraiths. 1.
I get to ignore this on a 6. No, Hexwraith takes a wound. Put it on this guy's furthest away.
And the Evocators and Dracolines are going to try and cast in power. They need a 6. They fail with a 4. And we're just going to move at full speed towards the Nighthaunt, so the infantry over here are sort of a bit slow, but the Lord Arcanum is able to get over towards the Nighthaunt lines. And similarly on the other side with the Evocators and Dracolines leading the way. Onto the shooting phase, we've got the Castigators. They're going to shoot at this unit of Bladegheist Revenants here. And as usual, we're diverting power to accuracy to reroll 1s to hit. The prime hits on a 2, the normals hit on 3s, 6s are D3 hits. We've got 2 6s and a 1 to reroll. Into another hit, so that's 2 hits plus 2d3. The d3s turn into 5, so 7 hits total. We wound on 3s. Well, a lot of 2s there, we've got 2 wounds. 2
4+ saves for the Bladegeists. Failed both. Ignoring damage on a 5.
Ah, so that helps.
I ignored 1.
Because that's with the Warscroll battalion. So we're on to the charge phase, we're going to be doing a lot of charging. We'll start with this unit of Secretors near the Lord Arcanum, because they're the ones who are the most likely candidate for a reroll. So their roll is going to be a 7. I think they needed an 8, let me just check. No, they needed an 8, so we will spend our command point. Forward to victory, we will re-roll this into a 9. So they'll make it to there, engaging the spirit hosts. And I'll do the Lord Arcanum next. He rolls a 10, that's pretty good. He'll charge to there, bringing himself within range of a few Nighthaunt units for his spirit flasks. Finish on this side with the Liberators. They need a decent enough roll as well. A 5 is probably not enough for them. No, that wasn't enough, so we'll move to the other side of the board. We've got to do the Evocators on Dracolines, because they're in the way of the Secretors. They obviously get to re-roll this because of their Thunderous Pounce ability if they don't roll a decent number, but I think an 8 will be good. Coming in like that, but leaving a bit of room for the Secretors to get past. The Secretors' charge roll is a 9, and they come around here, getting into range of the Ironborn Banshees. And that'll be all my charges. So at the start of the combat phase, we will blow up 3 Spirit Flasks, so that's going to do 3 mortal wounds, obviously to the Lord Arcanum himself, the Hexwraiths, that unit of Bladegheist Revenants, closer to him, and the Ironborn Banshees.
So I'll start with the Hexwraiths, ignoring damage on 6s. Nope. The Bladegheist ignoring on 5s, getting 1. And then the Banshees ignoring on 6s. And got 1 there as well.
That's the aftermath of that. The Lord Arcanum is down to 5 wounds because he does have Tenacious command trait for an extra wound. And for my Secretors, the unit at the bottom of the screen will do power to weapons, fighting the Spirit Hosts. The one at the top, fighting the Harridans, will do power to shields.
And then I'm going to spend a command point for Lord of Geists, and I'm going to put it on the Harridans.
And then in the combat phase proper, I get to pick a unit first. I'll pick the Evocators on Dracolines. The one at the back has piled in, and they're going to put all their attacks on the full unit of Bladegheist, which is these 5 models sort of here. 9 attacks with their weapons, hitting on 3s. 5 hits? No, 4 hits. Wounding on 3s. Well, they all wound.
4 plus saves, made 2. Ignoring damage on 5s, made 2.
No damage. 6 attacks from their Dracoline mounts, hitting on 3s. Only 3 hits from them. Wounding on 3s. 2 wounds.
2 4 plus saves, made 1.
D3 damage because they charged, 1 damage.
Ignoring it on a 5. Yes.
And we're going to put the Celestial Lightning Arc on the 2-man unit of Bladegheist to see if I can actually get rid of them so that they don't get brought back. So 4 dice because there are 2 of them, 4s cause mortal wounds. Well, 3 mortal wounds at least.
Ignoring these on 5s. I only made 1, so that unit is destroyed. And that's that unit of Bladegheist removed.
And that's a victory point for the Stormcast.
I will pick the... I think I'll actually pick the Spirit Host to go. 18 attacks, hitting on 5s. Rerolling 1s and 6s do mortal wounds. Well, there's 6 6s in there. And 1 ordinary hit and no 1s. And then this ordinary hit wounds on a 4. It does.
4 plus save, rerolling 1s. Made that. So it's just 6 mortal wounds. Kills 3 Secretors. It hurts to do it, but we are just going to lose the 3 Secretors without not going to use Cycle of the Storm and keep the Maces alive. Do the other unit of Secretors next. Big Maces, 4 attacks hitting on 3s. 6s do extra hits. We've only got 2 normal hits. Wounding on 3s. 1.
4 plus. Made it.
And 7 attacks with the normal maces hitting on 3s. 3 hits. And wounding on 3s. 3 wounds.
4 plus saves. Made 1. Ignoring damage on 6s. Ignored 1. So 1 Harridan dies. Do the Hexwraiths next. They're all piling in, so they're all in base contact with the Lord Arcanum, so that he can't pile in round the end and try and get to the Knight of Shrouds. So we've got 7 attacks from the Scythes, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, and 6s do mortal wounds. There's 2 mortal wounds. Once again, no 1s and 3 regular hits. These wound on 3s, hitting 3, -1 rend.
So he has a 4 plus save. Oh, he fails all of them and dies. That's about as good as his usual showings. Goes down in the first turn. Well, I do have these 2 Secretors with maces. They're going to put all their attacks on the Spirit Hosts. Well, these ones did power to weapons, so hitting on 3s, re-rolling. 6s do extra hits, so we can re-roll those 2 1s into an extra hit. So that's 3 plus a d3, which comes to 4 in total. Wounding on 3s, 2.
4 plus saves, 4 Spirit Hosts. Made both. I'll pick the Harridans to go next. 17 attacks, thanks to Lord of Geists. Hitting on 4s and 1s. Oh, not so good this time. So there's only 6 hits so far, 2 1s. Getting another hit. So 7 out of 17, it's not particularly good. And then wounded on 3s, 6s do 2 damage. 3 1 damage and 2 2 damage.
With the 2 damage, we've got 5 plus saves, re-rolling 1s, 2s and 3s because of power shields. Made 1, we can reroll. No, okay, so 2 damage so far, and the other ones are the same. We cannot reroll that 4 because it was a success before modifiers. Nope, that's 5 damage in total, so 2.5 sectors. Unfortunately, I sort of messed up, so the Great Mace on the end has to be removed in order to not break unit coherency.
Then the Bladegeists get to go. So here we've got 10 attacks, hitting on 3s and re-rolling everything because of the Spirit Torment. 8 hits, re-roll those 2s, 9 hits in total. 6 wounds, Rend -1.
5 plus saves. Failed 5, that's the dead Evocator. So obviously the one who is not the Prime will be killed. That's the end of all the fighting, but both of my units of Secretors need to make battle shock tests. The one fighting the Spirit Hosts lost 3. They rolled a 1, so they're fine. The one fighting the Harridans lost 2. So 5 plus 2 is 7, so they're also okay.
And also, it's supposed to happen at the beginning of Battle Shock phase, but it wouldn't make any difference. I'll bring those 2 Mindworn Banshees back.
Yeah, because you killed 3 Stormcast models. But that's the end of the turn, in which the Nighthaunt did score 2 victory points for killing the Lord Arcanum, and then we'll be on to Nighthaunt turn 1.
So in my hero phase, I get a command point, go back up to 1, and then the Knight of Shrouds is going to try and cast Fireball, needing a 5, getting it with an 8.
I can no longer unbind because my Evocators are not a wizard anymore.
I'm going to put it on the larger unit of Secretors. D3 damage for 3.
That kills the injured one and will take away the Prime as well. And we also need to roll for my Dracoline, which is near the volcanic terrain. On the 6, they take D3 mortal wounds. They do, on a 6. D3 mortal wounds to the Evocator Prime, he takes a wound.
So in my movement phase there's been a bit of shuffling around. The Bladegeists have retreated from the Evocator, and they can retreat and charge, and they get +1 attacks when they charge, so that's the plan. The Harridans and the Spirit Hosts are going to stay engaged. The Mindworn Banshees, one of them has moved around. There isn't really much space because you have to stay 3 inches away from everyone, but they might wish to charge the Evocator as well. And the Spirit Torment's moved across so that he can hopefully charge those Secretors as well and help out the Spirit Hosts. And finally the Hexwraiths moved over. 2 of them are flying over the Evocator Prime, the other one doesn't quite have enough movement to do so. So they've all sort of lined up oddly on the other side of this ruin, managing to stay 3 inches away from every Stormcast unit. Then 2 of the Hexwraiths can try to bomb the Evocator, so on 5 he takes mortal wounds, or 2 mortal wounds.
So he's down to 2 wounds remaining.
Yeah. I'll start the charge phase with the Hexwraiths. Yeah, 5 is enough to get them into something. So that's enough to get them into the Castigators.
Okay.
Then I'll do the Bladegeists. Ooh, a 3 is enough. Yeah, so that 3 is just enough to get the Bladegeists in. Then I'll do the Mindworn Banshees as well. 10 is definitely enough. The Knight of Shrouds will charge as well. 7 is enough. And finally the Spirit Torment in, going to charge those Secretors. Ooh, a 4, possibly not enough. So 4 isn't enough to get him in.
Then we're on to the combat phase.
Yeah, at the start of the combat phase I use my command point to put Lord of Geists on the Spirit Hosts.
And I'll do power to weapons with both Secretors because they don't have any shields left.
I'm going to pick the Bladegeists to go first. 15 attacks because they get +1 for charging, re-rolling everything. Luckily the Spirit Torment didn't make his charge, so they're still within 12 of him. Hitting on 3s. So that's 10 so far. Roll the misses. 14 hits. Wounding on 3s. So that's 8 wounds.
You need to make 7 4+ saves. Sorry, 5+ saves. Yeah, obviously he's dead. I'll do the lone Secretor. He's going to put all of his attacks on the Dreadscythe Harridans. 2 attacks on 3s, re-rolling. Misses. 2 5s is 2 hits. Wounds on 3s. 1 wound.
4+ save. Made it. So I'll do the Spirit Host next. So we've got 21 attacks. Hitting on 5s, re-rolling 1s, 6 to do mortal wounds.
Yeah,
well, there's a lot of mortal wounds in there.
Well, I do have my Castigators to fight back against those Hexwraiths before they get to hit them. 8 attacks, hitting on 4s. 3 hits. Wounding on 4s. 1.
4+ save for a Hexwraith. Get it in the box. That's a success. I'll do the Harridans next. They do have to pile in a bit. So I'll pile them in around the Secretor to leave a gap so some of the Mindworn Banshees can get in as well. 13 attacks, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s. That's 11 hits. These are using the old Harridan rules, so these 6s are just 1 hit, not 2. Wounding on 3s, 6s are 2 damage. So that's 6 regular hits and 1 2 damage.
I'll do 2 damage on a 5. Nah, it's dead.
Finally the Hexwraiths, don't need to pile in anymore. 7 attacks from the sides. Hitting on 4s, 6s do mortal wounds. So there's 1 mortal wound. And 4 hits. 3 hits. Wounding on 3s. 2. -1.
Normal hits saved on 5s. Nope, so 3 damage total so far.
6 attacks from horses, hitting on 4s, getting 5 hits, wounding on 5s, getting 3.
4 plus saves. Failed 2, so 5 damage total.
Since they charge, the Mindmore Banshees and the Knight of Shrouds can still pile in, have to go towards the Cascaders, and I might as well because it brings them further away from the Liberators. And at the start of the Battle Shock phase, I'll bring back the dead Harridan.
But then the Castigators will have to take a Battle Shock test. They lost 2, so a 6 is bad, but we're fine. And that'll be it for the end of Battle Round 1. And at this point I will concede. The Nighthaunt killed 4 units this turn, so they're up 8 victory points to 1. And I basically have to kill the general and at least 4 other units to try and win without losing 3 wounds of Castigators and a unit liberated. So yeah, we'll recap that game for you now. Well, that was the game for issue 68 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms magazine. How did you think that went?
Oh, I don't think it could go much worse for you, to be honest.
That was, I think, the most incompetent ambush ever. We broke from cover, crashed into the Nighthaunt lines, and then all tripped over our own weapons or something. I've no idea what happened there.
The 5+ from the Warscroll battalion, I'm sure I made about 4 of those in a row for the big unit of Bladegheist.
Yeah, nothing seemed to go wrong for you.
And that was...
You managed to wound a guy by bombing him, which doesn't usually happen.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah.
And that was a new unit of Bladegheist as well, completely averting new model syndrome. They were really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I rolled really well for hits, and I probably got about 12 mortal wounds on the Spirit Host as well.
It seems to be a bit of a theme, unfortunately. My Evocators and Celestial Dracolines charge in and then do no damage at all. And then well, they did a bit with their Lightning Arc, I suppose. And the Lord Arcanum on Dracoline specifically is really unlucky. He even had the extra wound to try and help him, and the regeneration gem to try and help him survive his own spirit flasks, but no, he just went down before he could strike. I didn't even come close to tickling the Knight of Shrouds, to be honest.
It is worth pointing out that you could just give the Nighthaunt General the Cloak of Mist and Shadows, so at the start of every combat phase he can teleport away and you can just never fight him.
Obviously I won the roll-off to go first, and I made all but one of my charges. I managed to charge into you, because if you'd gone first you could have spread out, you could have headed towards one force in preference to the other one, which would have meant I would not have been able to do that. So I needed to win the first turn to get that concerted effort going.
Yeah, and that would be a real issue as well, considering how slow most of your army is.
I took Dracolines on purpose to have some fast units. Really what I wanted to do is if you tried to run away with the Knight of Shrouds, I needed units that would be able to hunt him down. I think either of those 2 units could beat him in a fight, although his Relic Sword might have made that a bit harder. I wanted to take big units with a lot of wounds that would resist being killed easily to give away victory points. But at the same time I also took the minimum number of units I could, so as to give you fewer victory points to score. There were actually 12 victory points you could have got in this game maximum. I only had a maximum of 11 I could get.
Yeah.
And you had the maximum number of units you could have taken. Whereas if I'd taken my maximum number of unit allowance, you could have had 16 victory points on offer. I mean, really what I was just trying to do was take a mix of high damage dealing and resilience.
Fortunately, it didn't really work. They didn't do any damage and they weren't resilient at all.
Unfortunately not, no. And we did get a second unit of Bladegeists, obviously, which is great because they're a good unit.
Yeah, they're a really good unit. And they do come in boxes of 10 normally as well, so this is just finishing off the box set. And their Warscroll Battalion's actually fairly good as well. I mean, Bladegeists are already a really good unit, and Reikenor is a pretty good hero, and the Knight of Shrouds are pretty useful utility. It's worth pointing out by now, at the time this video is out, the Nighthaunt had a 3rd edition book, and Warscroll Battalions I don't think are really a thing anymore, so I'm not sure if this is really relevant. But in the context of this collection, if you're still playing through it, it's a really handy Warscroll Battalion to have. Certainly one much more worth taking than the Lord Executioner one. I mean, I could have taken that one as well and had all 3 artifacts. But yeah, I think for this game, you just had a really bad day for rolling. I don't think your strategy was wrong in any way.
Oh, I suppose it's also, over the 2 issues, compared to buying a box of 10 Bladegeists, it is quite good value to, well, at the time this was released, at least it would have been £16 for the 2 issues versus probably at least 25 for a box, so it's quite good if you want them, and they're good units. They're also all unique sculpts as well.
That is nice, because the Harridans, rather, are also come in boxes of 10, but it's actually 2 sets of 5.
But anyway, well, there's not really much more to say about this game or this issue, so, well, if you enjoyed the video, then do give it a like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts. Obviously, we know we're a fair bit behind with Mortal Realms, but we do intend to finish it, hopefully before the new Age of Sigmar magazine starts. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.